Hey everybody, welcome back to In Bed with the Millennial. I'm the Millennial, Javeda Bay, and this is my bed, and it is our last Monday of January, which means it's our last episode on communication. And today I want to talk about communicating intimacy, because the end of this week, we're in February. You know what that means? Valentine's Day is close, so why not, start thinking about things that may relate to that day now. And one of those things is definitely communication, because communicating is sexy. So let's dive into communicating intimacy, shall we? We shall. Before I get started though, let's start with a disclaimer. I struggle with communicating intimacy. Is it a trauma response? I don't know, but it is hard for me to verbalize around intimacy. Very, very hard. I can text it out, easy peasy, but you want me to stand there and say stuff to you intimately with my mouth? I'm not going to do it. I'm not. I love when people do it to me, but me doing it, I'm just like, oh, you sound like a dingus. What's wrong with you? And no, that's not the case. So we're working on this together. But Jay, why should we even be talking about communicating intimacy? I'm so glad you asked. For a lot of reasons. The first one being that actually communicating about intimacy helps strengthen the intimacy in your relationship. So yes, I am generally talking about romantic sexual relationships right now. Intimacy is important in them because intimacy is not what a lot of us grew up thinking it was. Because I heard the word intimacy and I was like, oh, sex. The two are not equal. For some, yes, sex can be very intimate. And also, there are different ways to be intimate with your partner that are not sex. And a lot of those intimate ways happen with communication. So that's why we're talking about this, because we gotta. But so what does it look like, Jay? Where do you even start when it comes to communicating intimacy? Some people are on this train, some people are off this train. I'm just going to give the information. But love languages are probably one of the most popular ways that people communicate intimacy. And if you know the backstory of how love languages was developed, you're probably like, Javay, that was made by a problematic Christian dude who's not even a counselor or a therapist or anything like that. He just made it up and pulled it out of his booty. Yes, absolutely. The dude is trash. We know that. And also, we know that love languages has become so commonplace and really resonates with a lot of people. So I'm going to speak to people on what makes sense. And love languages is what makes sense. But if you are someone that's I would rather explore stuff that is not developed by terrible people. Totally fair. Anne Hodder actually created a updated, revitalized version of love languages. Literally, it's called modern love languages. And if you don't know, Anne Hodder is a sex educator and actually teaches a sex education training program. Incredible human being. And they developed a modern love languages, which is more extensive than the 5 love languages that exist from the other dude, and really delves into our modern day and age and how it relates to love and intimacy and romance and relationships. So if you're okay, I can get on board with somebody new stuff, definitely check out Anne Hodder. And they're actually doing a modern love intensive, which is just 2 days of 3 hours of really digging deep into the modern love languages that they developed. And that's happening on February 10th and 11th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific time. If you're interested, check out my Instagram. I reshared the post with information about it. So definitely do that if you were all right, I can get on board with that. But back to the topic at hand, actual love languages. That's where I start with this conversation about how do we even communicate intimacy, because dang near everybody and their mama knows what love languages are and has been able to identify what works for them. And so I start there in the sense of like, you probably already have some understanding or grasp on communicating about intimacy, which I love that for you. And also, because it is so well known and resonates with so many people, it is less intimidating of a way to communicate about intimacy. So if you were like, cool, I really want to start trying to communicate about intimacy, cool, I want you to really invest time into love languages, using yours, paying attention to your partners, things of that nature. And if you're like, Faye, I actually don't know about love languages. Well, baby, I got you. We're going off of the traditional ones, not Anne's. I'm gonna let Anne teach y'all about that one. But so the modern ones, there are 5 love languages: quality time, physical touch, acts of service, words of affirmation, and gifts. Giving, gift receiving. So those are the 5. So depending on you and your partner, y'all could have similar love languages, completely different love languages. There's a myriad of configurations that can happen. There is a test you can take if you want to do that. But also you can probably just do it with some reflection on like what brings you joy, makes you feel good and loved. And then you can have an idea. But so people are different. And when it comes to communicating intimacy, it is a lot easier for people whose love language is words of affirmation. In the sense that they can say all the things and it's like, oh my God, yes. When that is their love language, the way they speak, piece of cake. But if you are someone that is like, your love language is like acts of service or quality time, it can be really difficult to communicate and verbalize intimate things, lovey-dovey things, because you're like, that's not how it goes for me. No, I do nice things for you, and that's how I tell you I love you. That's me. Yeah, it can be a bit of a challenge. So we gotta figure out how to meet in the middle around that when it comes to communicating intimacy. And the first thing I want to say is like, obviously tell your partner your love language. Let's start there. It's much easier to communicate in nonverbal ways if that's your love language, if your partner knows. So if you let them know like, hey, so I watched Gervais' YouTube video and learned a little bit more about love languages and did a little research, and my love language is actually quality time. And I think that explains why I don't verbalize things to you like you do to me, because it feels more intimate to just be sharing space and time with each other intentionally, rather than, you know, saying all the intimate lovey-dovey things out of my mouth. So communicate that with your partner. That can alleviate a lot of like stress or worry and anxiety around it. But then if you're like, okay, but Gervais, but I do want to actually try getting better at communicating verbally around intimacy. I love that. I love that for you. And I got I'm always gonna offer you a little bit of something. You know that. So I want you to consider just talking about romance and wooing your partner. So not making it this big hubbub to do thing about like, oh, we're going to talk about our intimacy. No. That's not what I'm trying to say. I want you to talk about romance. I want you to truly just like, cool, what do you find romantic, baby? Let me know. Here's what I find romantic. Actually doing the things to woo somebody. So go back to when y'all first started seeing each other. What was it that had you like texting all your homies and your friends being like, oh my God, do you know what they did for me today? That's wooing. Go back to wooing. I would love it if we went back to Shakespearean, not like, you know, the full story plots, but like just the way of like wooing somebody. Like, you know, we like led them to a room that was like covered in rose petals and blah, 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 whatever it is. But like wooing. Get back to wooing in 2024. But if you were like, I want to learn more though about romance and like how to do stuff with it. Good, great, awesome. That's what I'm here for. Because all next month, we are talking about romance on this web series. Romance! So basically what I'm telling you right now is to subscribe. But if you're like, cool, that's the area that I want to start working from, I love that. I support it wholeheartedly. You just need to make sure that your understanding of romance and your partner's understanding of romance are shared between y'all, because we all define things differently. Culture, language, all those things play into things and how we understand things and engage with things. So if you and your partner culturally, linguistically, just like personality wise, view romance in different ways, y'all gotta understand each other's, so that way things are actually like progressing, like producing the feelings that you want to produce and all that jazz. Because for some people, a movie and dinner date night is super romantic, and for other people they're like, no, that's not romantic, we don't really get to talk to each other for a whole 2 hours because we're in the movie. Like, I think a walk in the park and a picnic is more romantic. Like, you got to talk about stuff, so that way you can understand what it is that you find romantic and your partner finds romantic. That is going to be the starting place. But if you're like, Javay, I just really need like some specialized, individualized help with this, I am here for you. If you don't know, I offer sessions. They're called Pleasure RX sessions. And they can look of a wide variety of ways. But one of those ways is like crafting date nights specifically for you and your partner or partners. We would meet, you would give me some info about them, and I would just use my romantic, creative Pisces lover girl brain to come up with a very specific date for y'all that is going to like actually, you know, have them very excited. And it gives you like a jumping off point and thinking about future dates, or you could keep rebooking and let me do what I do. It also, you can use Pleasure RX if you're like, cool, I want to woo my partner with a gift for Valentine's Day, but I have no idea where to start. I also help with that. And one thing about me, gift giving is one of my favorite things to do. And again, as a Pisces, that attention to detail comes so natural to me that people are actually getting gifts and they're like, holy crap, I can't believe you remembered that thing I told you back in like 8th grade about how I really wanted XYZ thing so bad. Yes, I remember those random details in this noggin so wildly. It actually cracks me up. But yeah, so if you need help in those areas, I got you. Book a Pleasure RX session with me. Because I want to help us all be better at romancing and wooing our partners. Because, you know, our partners, we love them. They deserve to be romanced and wooed. So, book a session. But definitely make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, so that way next month you don't miss any of the goodness around romance. And definitely make sure you are following me on social media, because I may or may not be doing a giveaway for V-Day. And definitely make sure you subscribe to my email newsletter, because in case the powers that be behind social media platforms and this platform decide to give me the boot, we can still be in contact with each other, because I always got stuff. But yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's that. Go and work on communicating about romance with your partner. Definitely go check out Anne's workshop, and I'm gonna see you later. Deuces.